Hey guys, how's it going? So today what I'm going to do is show you how to basically make a survival kit for basically free, for no money. A few people have been asking me, like, how can I make a survival kit from stuff that I can find around my house? All these things are pretty much like all household items that you should be able to find around your house. You may not be able to find all of these things, but you should be able to find some of these things. You'll definitely find some of these items in your house. Maybe you don't want to spend a bunch of money on these fancy survival gear and all this like fancy survival-ish stuff, and you just want to have like a survival kit which you didn't have to use very much money to put together, and it's just something that you have aside. A lot of people, they're like, why would I make a survival kit? I have to put money into something and I might like never use it. Like, they're like, why would I do that? The way that I look at it is like, I'll be glad I put the kit together, because if something were to happen, at least I have something. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need in a survival kit is probably a bag, something to keep all of your items inside of. So for this survival kit, I just got this old bag. Okay, never mind the machete. We'll talk about that later. This is just a bag that I've had for many years, and I just decided to use it for this. You could use an old backpack, you could use a new backpack, you could use a grocery bag, you could use whatever it is that you want to use. You just need something to keep everything in one spot, because if you have to evacuate or something, you want everything to be in one spot and you can just grab it and go. Okay, so the first thing I have here is a water bottle. You most likely have some metal water bottles around your house, and the best ones, the ones that'll probably work the best in case of an emergency, is ones that aren't insulated, because if your water bottle is insulated, it will keep your water cold, but you cannot boil water. So if you put water into your bottle and obviously take the plastic lid off, you cannot boil it. This is not insulated, so I can boil water using this bottle. So I can purify water as well as collect water. If all you can find is a plastic water bottle or an insulated bottle, it's better than nothing, because at least you can collect some water. Ziplocs. You should be able to find some Ziplocs around your house. Almost everyone has them. They have so many uses. Let me just tell you guys some of the uses. You can use them to waterprooferize stuff. They're not the most heavy duty, but you can use them to collect food. You can use them to collect water. You can waterproof any electronics you have. You can also waterproof stuff like matches or lighters. And they take up barely any space, and they're super light. And if you can find them, definitely put them in your survival kit. Next thing, tin foil, aluminum tin foil. This must be one of the things that you can find in your house that has the most uses. So tin foil, okay, it has so many uses. You can boil water. So if you shape a piece of tin foil into, let's say, a cup or a bowl, you can boil water with it. You can use it to make a dry platform in case it's wet out and you are trying to make a fire. You can use it to make like a little wind guard so that you can create a fire without the wind putting it out. You can use this in like flashlights. Maybe you have AAAs, but the flashlight takes AAs. You can put some tin foil in there and you might be able to get the flashlight working. You can use this to clean pots and stuff. So the list goes on forever, as well as using your imagination. You'll think of tons of other uses, but this is also super light and super thin. You just take a decent piece. You can take multiple pieces, just cut it off, fold it up, and you can have it in your bag. Next thing is a garbage bag. You definitely can find a garbage bag in your house. With this, you can create a poncho by cutting out holes for your arms and your neck. You can use this to put your backpack inside of so that it doesn't get wet in case it starts raining. You can use these to make shelters. You can use them to collect things. They have lots of uses, and good to have. Next, zip ties. You may or you may not be able to find these in your house, maybe in your garage, maybe in your storage, or maybe your dad has some of these, maybe in the toolbox. Zip ties. Zip ties have tons of uses. For how small and light they are, they're really cool. Like, you can use them to fasten things down if you want to fasten something down. Maybe something breaks, maybe your tarp gets a hole or something. You can use these to tighten it back down. You can use these to set up shelters. You can actually join multiple of them together and use them like cordage if you need to. And they are very sturdy for how small and lightweight they are. So if you can find zip ties, definitely put some zip ties. Next thing, an extra pair of clothes. Just maybe some shorts, maybe a t-shirt, whatever. In case the clothes that you're wearing get wet, at least you have something to change into. And you probably can find these in your house. Just some extra ordinary clothes. You could put clothes that you maybe don't use very much, or clothes that are a little big for you so you don't have to worry about them too much. But yeah, just make sure you like change them out every little while, so like here comes an emergency and then the clothes are like 5 years old and they don't fit you anymore. So just make sure you take that into account. Next is duct tape. Everyone talks about duct tape. Duct tape is awesome. Like, some people say it's like the best survival tool ever. Duct tape has tons of uses. You can use it to patch up if your tarp gets a hole, if you have a tarp and it gets a hole, maybe your backpack gets a hole. You can use these like bandages if you get a cut. You can use them like a bandage in a pinch. You can light duct tape very easily to start fires. You can use it as cordage. And then it is tape, so it is very good to have. And maybe you don't want to take the entire roll, so you can take some of it and wrap it against itself and collect and have like a decent amount, couple meters of this stuff can really come in handy, and it is very good to have. So duct tape. Next, cordage. Cordage is very, very important. Any sort of cordage is better than nothing. That could be any type of twine, it could be some rope, it could be paracord, it could be floss, it could be fishing line. Cordage is just anything which you can use to fasten things down. Probably can find some floss in your house. Believe it or not, okay, like floss, I love floss. It is like awesome. Like whoever invented it is a genius, like literally a genius. For how light floss is, it is so strong. If you've tried ripping this stuff apart, it's impossible. Like it's really impossible. So you could use this to sew, you can use this to tie things up, and like it takes up no space, and you probably can find this in your house. Maybe you can find some fishing line in your house. Usually you're not going to use it for fishing maybe, but it is strong enough to set up shelters and tie stuff down. And of course, if you can find any type of just rolls of cordage, you don't have to take the whole thing, you just take a couple meters, however much you think you may need, and just put it aside in your survival kit. Next, a first aid kit. So most houses will have a first aid kit. Most of the time your family should have a first aid kit. And if you want to just take some band-aids, you can take some duct tape, get some duct tape, some bandages, maybe some Neosporin, maybe some painkillers, and put it in a little kit in case of an emergency. You don't have to take your entire family's first aid kit, but if you just take maybe some band-aids and just some simple things like that, it can come in handy. Next thing is any type of tool. So tools could be multi-tools, it could be any type of screwdrivers or stuff, but if you can find any sort of multi-tool in your house, maybe you have a multi-tool, maybe your dad, maybe the toolbox, you can always put it into your survival kit. Of course, you probably will use it all the time, so sometimes you can take it out and use it and stuff, but like lots of multi-tools have tons of different cool tools, like sometimes like knives, maybe screwdrivers, bottle openers, pliers, lots of different tools. There's tons of different ones. And if you can't find one of these in your house, then you can always, maybe in the future, purchase one and then put it in your survival kit, but I guess that's not free. Next is a flashlight. Flashlights, like, they are super duper useful. Like if the electricity goes out or it's nighttime, the first thing you're gonna be like, I need a flashlight. Like, I need a flashlight to do anything. So finding a flashlight, and make sure you have some extra batteries, because nothing's worse than it's dark out, pitch black out, you have no electricity, and your flashlight runs out of battery. And the next thing is fire. Fire is super duper useful. You can use it to boil your water. It's just like something that you have to have ways to create. You always want to have some sort of way to make fire. So make sure you're careful with fire, because you really could burn something down. But a lot of survivalists are like, you have to have a fire steel. But most of the time you're not going to just find a fire steel in your house, but you may find matches or lighters or stuff. So you could always start off with this, and then one day in the future upgrade to a fire steel. The only thing about a fire steel is it doesn't just make fire. Like, you can't just go fire. With this, you can just make fire. So I talked about the water bottle because you can boil water, but definitely something that you could upgrade to in the future is some sort of water filter. It could be a Sawyer, it could be a Katadyn, it could be a Life Straw, whatever. It's just a lot easier than sometimes, like, it's like maybe there's an emergency. It's a lot easier to get a water filter out of your bag and purify water than make a fire and try to boil it. It just makes it a lot more convenient. Next is some sunscreen. If in an emergency you may need to be out in the sun a lot, it's a good idea to have some sunscreen just in case. Pencil sharpeners have tons of uses. This is more for like almost like if you're gonna have to be out in the jungle or in the forest and survive, because you can use pencil sharpeners to like make little shavings from little pieces of wood if you need to start a fire and you can't find dry wood very easily. And the next thing is a phone. Most of the time you're not gonna like take your phone and just like stuff it in your survival kit and leave it there. You probably use it all the time, but if there ever is an emergency, your phone could be very helpful. Most phones nowadays have flashlights, so that's pretty handy. Some of them have compasses, and you can also use them like GPSs if you need to call for help and stuff. So definitely if you just have a phone, that could be a very big help in an emergency. So that's everything that I found in my house that I could put into a survival kit. Of course, it is endless, the things that you can find in your house to put in a survival kit. I tried to keep this all things that you could find in your house and that most people will have them and that you can most likely find them for free. I'd love to hear what things you say you should get down in the comments. And of course, if you are going to purchase anything for your survival kit, try to get something that you think would be like the most helpful. So definitely some sort of way to purify water, because in an emergency, being able to get clean water is going to be like one of the most important things, because you can go without food for a little while and you can go without a lot of things, but without water, there's no hope. And like I was saying about if you're going to purchase something, get something that you're going to most likely, it will be the most helpful to you in an emergency. I live in the jungle, so a machete would probably be one of the most useful survival items for me, because I can use this to cut branches to create shelters, I can use this to cut coconuts open, and I can use this to cut my way through the jungle in case I need to get somewhere. So for me, this would be very helpful, but if you live somewhere else on the planet, then there's probably something else which will be the most helpful. And one other thing I didn't show in this sort of kit thing is food. Food, just any sort of food that you can find in your kitchen that will last for like at least a year or two. Like, you don't want it to be super low shelf life, because or else you might forget about it and then it just go bad really quickly. But there's tons of things that will last for a couple years. Okay guys, that's a wrap for today's video. Hope you enjoyed this little survival kit video of stuff that you can find in your house most likely. Let me know in the comments down below what items that I didn't cover in this video, which you can most likely find in your house, in your home, which you can put in a survival kit. And get out, well, actually just stay in your house and go ahead and make yourself a little survival kit from things that you can find in your house. But make sure that you tell your parents that you're like taking something, so they're not like, where did this go? Like, where'd it go? If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. I put up fun videos pretty much every day of the week, and I'd love to hear your ideas on survival kits down below in the comments. See you guys tomorrow early in the morning. Bang! Next, tools. So in urban survival, tools could be very important. I feel a sneeze coming. Cut. Continue. And also make sure you have some extra batteries, because nothing's worth that. Because